Ah, look who they can't categorize. Hello, beautiful contradiction. Hello, timeline glitch. Hello, impossible equation wrapped in human skin. They've been running the numbers on you, haven't they? Cross-referencing your birth certificate with your energy signature, comparing your official age with the ancient exhaustion in your eyes, trying to make sense of how someone born in your year carries the weight of 7 lifetimes. And every time the data comes back, every single time the same red flag appears across their screens, does not compute. Age inconsistent, spiritual signature exceeds chronological parameters, recommend immediate monitoring. Yeah, you heard that right. Your age doesn't make sense. Not to them, not to the system, not to the algorithms designed to track normal human development. Because while everyone else aged predictably, celebrating birthdays like clockwork, accumulating years like everyone else does, you were doing something else entirely. You weren't just getting older, you were getting ancient. Every betrayal aged you a decade. Every silent night of psychological warfare added centuries to your soul. Every moment you had to become your own parent, your own protector, your own salvation, that didn't just mature you, that evolved you into something the system wasn't designed to measure. They look at your ID and see 25, 30, 40, whatever number the calendar claims. But when they look in your eyes, when they feel your presence, when they try to manipulate you like someone your age should be manipulated, the system crashes. Because you're not operating on their timeline anymore. You stopped aging normally, the moment you started dying repeatedly and coming back stronger. You stopped being their demographic when you survived things that should have destroyed you permanently. You stopped fitting their projections when you learned lessons in 5 years that take most people 50 to understand. And now they're panicking. Not because you're dangerous in the way they can predict, but because you're dangerous in a way they've never seen before. Because somewhere in their databases, in their research facilities, in their classified documents, your name keeps appearing with annotations they don't want to admit. Subject displays cognitive development inconsistent with chronological age. Emotional intelligence suggests trauma-accelerated evolution. Psychological profile indicates survival-based advancement beyond typical parameters. In other words, you broke their model of how humans are supposed to grow. They built a world where people develop slowly, predictably, controllably. Where 18-year-olds act 18. Where 30-year-olds think 30. Where age equals a certain level of awareness, compliance, malleability. But you shattered that formula. You're 20, but you see through manipulation like you've studied it for decades. You're 30, but you carry wisdom that makes 60-year-olds uncomfortable. You're 40, but you've lived through more psychological deaths and resurrections than most people experience in multiple lifetimes. Your age on paper is a lie, a comfortable fiction, a number that makes you easier to file away, easier to dismiss, easier to control. But your real age, your soul age, your spiritual mileage, that's what's triggering every alarm in their system. And here's what really terrifies them. You're not an isolated case. You're not the only one. All around the world, people like you are waking up with the same realization. My age doesn't match what I've survived. My years don't explain what I know. My birthday doesn't account for how deeply I see. The system is starting to recognize a pattern. A generation of souls who age differently. Who evolved under pressure. Who became something that shouldn't exist yet. And that makes you more than an anomaly. That makes you a threat. Because if enough people realize their age doesn't define their power, if enough people understand they've been accelerated beyond the system's control mechanisms, everything changes. The old rules stop working. The old hierarchies crumble. The old manipulations lose their grip. So let's talk about what they've been doing while you thought you were just living your life, rebuilding yourself, minding your own evolution. Let's talk about the tests. You didn't notice them at first, did you? The way certain opportunities vanished right when you were about to grab them. The way specific people entered your life at strategic moments, asking questions that felt too precise, too targeted. The way conversations seemed designed to measure something. Your reactions, your boundaries, your breaking points. They weren't random encounters. They were psychological probes disguised as coincidences, dressed up as chance meetings, wrapped in the illusion of organic human interaction. Someone's been tracking you. Not with cameras, although those too. Not with your devices, although definitely those. But with something more insidious. They've been tracking your pattern. Your evolution pattern. Because normal people follow predictable trajectories. Job, relationship, crisis, recovery, plateau, repeat. Consume, obey, age, fade, die. But you started doing something they didn't program into their models. You started breaking during the wrong years. You started healing too fast. You started seeing through illusions you were supposed to believe until middle age. You started asking questions 20-year-olds aren't supposed to ask. Started rejecting systems 30-year-olds are supposed to defend. Started embodying truths 40-year-olds are supposed to fear. They noticed. Of course they noticed. You think the same infrastructure that monitors dissidents and tracks revolutionaries wasn't going to flag someone evolving outside acceptable parameters. You think the psychological architects of this controlled reality weren't going to investigate when someone starts displaying awareness levels that don't match their demographic profile. They sent people. Not agents in black suits, nothing that obvious. They sent therapists who asked very specific questions, sent mentors who offered help that felt slightly off, sent lovers who seemed fascinated by your intensity in ways that felt more like research than romance. Every person strategically placed to answer one core question. How did this one accelerate so far beyond their chronological programming? Because here's what you need to understand. The system isn't just economic. It's not just political. It's temporal. They control people by controlling their development timeline. Keep them immature at 20. Keep them distracted at 30. Keep them exhausted at 40. Keep them resigned at 50. Each decade comes with invisible ceilings, unspoken limitations, carefully constructed beliefs about what you should know, should accept, should surrender to by that age. But you smashed through every single one. You learned at 20 what they wanted you ignorant of until 40. You mastered at 30 what they needed you afraid of until 60. You embodied at 40 what they designed you to never discover at all. The tests got more aggressive. They needed to know if your evolution was reproducible, if it was transferable, if it was contagious. So they watched who you influenced, tracked who started changing after prolonged contact with you, monitored which conversations with you seemed to trigger accelerated awareness in others, and that's when the classification changed. You went from anomaly to infection vector, from curiosity to crisis, from interesting case study to national security concern, not because you committed any crime, but because your existence proves something they've spent generations trying to hide. That age is a construct. That development can be accelerated through pressure. That suffering, when alchemized correctly, creates evolution they can't control. They documented everything. Your breakdowns that turned into breakthroughs, your isolation that became self-mastery, your betrayals that forged discernment, your betrayals that forged discernment, your abandonments that built self-sufficiency. Every moment you were supposed to collapse, but instead metamorphosed, they recorded it, analyzed it, tried to reverse engineer how someone could transform trauma into transcendence instead of letting it destroy them like the model predicted. And the more they studied, the more alarmed they became. Because you weren't using their approved healing methods, weren't following their therapeutic timelines, weren't consuming their pharmaceutical solutions or attending their sanctioned recovery programs. You were doing something ancient, something primal, something that predates their systems entirely. You were remembering. Not past lives, though maybe that too. You were remembering how to be human before they taught you how to be cattle. remembering how to evolve through fire instead of avoiding it, remembering that pain isn't punishment but information, that isolation isn't abandonment but initiation, that every wound carries instructions for your next transformation, and those memories, that knowing, that instinctive understanding of how to transmute suffering into strength, that's not in their manuals, that's not in their databases, that's not something they can teach, control, or commodify, which makes you extremely dangerous. So they kept testing, kept pushing, kept introducing variables to see if you'd finally break in a way they could understand and catalog and neutralize in others. They needed you to fit the model, needed your age to make sense again, needed you to regress back to an appropriate level of awareness for your demographic. But every test backfired. Every manipulation made you sharper. Every betrayal they observed made you more discerning. Every isolation they documented made you more self-sufficient. You weren't breaking. You were graduating. From every single trap they set, you emerged more evolved, more aware, more untouchable. Let's get specific about what they found when they ran their diagnostic scans on your psychological profile. Because this isn't vague, mystical nonsense. This is measurable, observable, quantifiable difference that shows up in every assessment they run. First marker, grief processing acceleration. Normal humans, according to their models, take 2 to 5 years to process major loss. You're doing it in months, sometimes weeks, not because you're avoiding the pain, but because you've developed a metabolism for suffering that processes it faster. You've been through so much that your system learned to extract the lesson, integrate the wisdom, and release the attachment at speeds that seem impossible to people operating on normal grief timelines. Second marker, manipulation immunity development. Most people your age still fall for the same psychological tricks that worked on them as teenagers. Guilt trips, love bombing, gaslighting, triangulation. The standard manipulation toolkit still works on the majority because awareness of these tactics usually doesn't develop until much later, if at all. But you see it coming from miles away now. You identify the pattern in the first conversation. You spot the setup in the initial interaction. You've compressed decades of painful lessons into a defensive system that operates automatically. They can't trick you anymore, can't use the usual levers, can't push the buttons that still work on everyone else your age, and that's terrifying to anyone who relies on those tools. Third marker, reality distortion resistance. Most people are trapped in consensus reality. They believe what they're told to believe, see what they're shown, think what they're taught to think. It takes most humans 40, 50, 60 years to even question the fundamental narratives, if they ever do. But you started questioning everything after your first real betrayal. Started seeing through the stories after your second. Started recognizing the patterns behind the patterns after your third. Now you operate with a level of perceptual clarity that shouldn't exist in someone your age. You see the manipulation in the news, the programming in the entertainment, the control mechanisms in the culture, the traps in the relationships, the lies in the love. You've developed eyes that see through surfaces at an age when most people are still trusting those surfaces completely. Fourth marker, nervous system sovereignty. Here's a big one. Most people's nervous systems are completely reactive. Someone triggers them, they react. Someone abandons them, they collapse. Someone manipulates them, they comply. It takes decades of therapy, meditation, or brutal life experience to develop a regulated nervous system that doesn't hand control to external circumstances. But you, through sheer survival necessity, built that regulation early. You learned to stay calm in chaos, learned to think clearly under pressure, learned to observe your emotions without being controlled by them. Your nervous system became a fortress out of necessity, and now you walk through situations that send others into panic with this eerie stillness that unnerves people. Because that level of regulation shouldn't exist yet. Not in you, not at your age. Fifth marker, Identity fluidity without fragmentation. Most people spend their entire lives clinging to one rigid identity. They are their job. They are their relationship. They are their trauma. They are their story. And when those things change, they shatter. But you've died and been reborn so many times that you've learned something profound. Identity is temporary. You can be one version Monday and a completely different version Friday, and it's not instability, it's evolution. You've mastered the art of letting old selves die without mourning them, of becoming new versions without attachment to the previous ones, of shape-shifting through life while maintaining a core that remains untouchable. That level of psychological flexibility usually takes a lifetime to develop. You speedrun it out of necessity. Sixth marker, loneliness transmutation capability. This is perhaps the most dangerous one from their perspective. Most people fear isolation, need constant connection, require external validation to feel real. Solitude destroys them. But you learn to weaponize loneliness, learn to use isolation as a laboratory for self-construction, turned abandonment into an opportunity for self-discovery, transformed rejection into fuel for self-reliance. You don't just tolerate being alone anymore. You thrive in it. You've become someone who generates their own meaning, their own purpose, their own validation from internal sources. And that makes you impossible to control through the primary mechanism they use on everyone else, the fear of being alone. You've already been there. You've already survived it. You've already built a kingdom in that empty space. Now you can't be threatened with it anymore. Seventh marker, temporal perspective expansion. Most people live in a very narrow time window. They're trapped in immediate gratification cycles, can't think more than a few months ahead, can't see how current actions shape future realities. They're prisoners of the present moment. But you've developed this strange ability to see in decades. You make decisions now that you know will pay off in 5 years. You plant seeds today that you won't harvest until tomorrow. You've learned to play the long game at an age when most people are still playing hour to hour. And that long-term thinking, that future-oriented consciousness, that's what builds empires. That's what creates legacies. That's what makes you dangerous to a system designed to keep people trapped in perpetual short-term thinking. They measure all of this. They quantify it. They compare your markers against the standard development curve, and every single time, every single assessment, you're operating at levels that shouldn't manifest for decades. You're displaying capacities that shouldn't exist yet. You're embodying awareness that should take lifetimes to accumulate, and they can't explain it, can't model it, can't predict it, can't control it, because you didn't develop through their approved channels. You evolved through trauma, through pressure, through necessity, through the brutal grinding forge of lived experience that compressed decades into years and years, into months and months, into moments of such intense transformation that you aged an entire lifetime between breakfast and dinner. So they gave you a label, not officially, nothing that would show up in public records or legal documents, but in their internal communications, in their classified assessments, in their private databases where they track people who don't fit the standard models. You've been categorized. They call it different things in different agencies. Accelerated development subject, trauma-evolved individual, system-resistant personality. But it all means the same thing. You aged wrong. You developed in ways that make you difficult to manipulate using age-appropriate tactics. You've become immune to the control mechanisms that still work on your demographic. And that makes you, in their assessment, a risk. Not a criminal risk. Not a violent risk. Something worse from their perspective, an inspirational risk. Because if other people see what you've become, if they witness the strength you've built, the awareness you've developed, the sovereignty you've claimed at an age when you're supposed to still be stumbling, still searching, still dependent, they might start asking dangerous questions. They might start wondering if suffering could be used differently. If pain could create power instead of paralysis. If isolation could forge independence instead of desperation. If the entire developmental timeline they've been sold is a construct designed to keep them controllable for as long as possible, you represent proof of concept for something they never wanted proven. That humans can evolve rapidly under the right conditions, that consciousness can be accelerated through intentional engagement with suffering, that the standard developmental timeline is artificially slowed to maintain dependence on external systems, external validation, external authority. You're the evidence that their timeline is optional, that their stages are suggestions, that their limitations are lies, and evidence like that, walking around, breathing, thriving, inspiring others just by existing, that's more dangerous than any weapon. So they watch, they document, they analyze every move you make, every word you speak, every person you influence. They're looking for ways to neutralize the threat without creating a martyr, looking for ways to discredit without drawing attention, looking for ways to isolate without making it obvious. Because the last thing they want is for you to become a symbol, for your story to spread, for your evolution to become a roadmap others can follow. They need you to be an anomaly, an exception, a statistical outlier that proves nothing except that weird things sometimes happen. They cannot afford for you to be a prototype, a template, a demonstration of what's possible when someone refuses to age according to their schedule. But here's what they didn't anticipate. You don't need their platforms to spread your influence. You don't need their approval to validate your evolution. You don't need their recognition to know what you've become. You are the message. Your existence is the proof. Your presence is the transmission. Every room you walk into, every conversation you have, every person who feels the weight of what you've survived and how you've transformed it, that's the signal spreading. That's the contagion they feared. Not through speeches or manifestos or organized movements, just through being, through embodying, through existing as undeniable evidence that their timeline is breakable. They classified you as a threat because you are one, not to safety, not to security, but to their carefully constructed illusion that age equals limitation, that youth equals ignorance, that time equals learning, that decades equals wisdom. You shattered that illusion by becoming wise while young, by becoming sovereign while still supposedly developing, by becoming untouchable while still technically in your formative years. You broke their rules by growing at your own pace, by evolving on your own terms, by refusing to wait for permission to become powerful. And now they're stuck. They can't uninvent you, can't erase you, can't make you go back to fitting their models. You're out there, existing, thriving, evolving. And every day you continue to breathe, to grow, to inspire, to demonstrate what's possible when someone transmutes suffering into strength at speeds that shouldn't be possible. You become more dangerous, not because you're doing anything to them, but because you're doing everything for yourself. And that level of self-determination, that depth of self-evolution, that degree of self-sovereignty, it's contagious. It spreads. It wakes people up. It makes them question everything they've been told about how long growth should take, how much pain they should accept, how small they should stay. Here's what they documented that made the classification permanent. It wasn't just your individual evolution. It was the ripple effect. They noticed something disturbing in their data. People who spent significant time around you started changing, started questioning things they used to accept, started seeing through patterns they used to trust, started developing the same immunity to manipulation that you possess. It was spreading. Your awareness, your sovereignty, your accelerated development pattern. It was contagious, not through conscious teaching, but through osmosis, through proximity, through the energetic transmission of someone who has genuinely transcended the limitations most people accept as permanent. They tracked your social connections and found disturbing patterns. People in your life started therapy at higher rates, but not the endless dependent kind. The intensive transformational kind. They started ending toxic relationships at higher rates, started changing careers at higher rates, started making radical life changes at higher rates, started displaying markers of accelerated development at rates that far exceeded statistical norms. And the only common variable was you. Extended contact with you correlated with accelerated evolution in others. You weren't recruiting, weren't evangelizing, weren't even trying to influence, but your very presence, your embodied reality, your lived example was triggering something in people, a recognition, a permission, a possibility they hadn't considered before. The contagion worked through several mechanisms they identified. First, the mirror effect. When people encountered you, they saw their own potential reflected back. They saw someone who had been through hell and transmuted it. Someone who had been shattered and rebuilt themselves stronger. Someone who had been isolated and forged sovereignty. Someone who had every reason to be broken but chose to be powerful instead. And that reflection, that mirror, it showed them what they could become if they stopped waiting for permission and started claiming their own evolution. They saw in you what was dormant in themselves. And once seen, it couldn't be unseen. Second, the permission effect. Most people are trapped in invisible prisons of what they think they're allowed to become. They think they need credentials to be wise, need years to be sovereign, need age to be powerful. But you exist without those things while embodying those qualities. And your existence gives others permission to question the prerequisites. If you could become this without their approved timeline, maybe they can too. If you could evolve this fast through intentional engagement with pain, maybe they can too. If you could break their rules and not just survive but thrive, maybe they can too. Your life becomes implicit permission for others to abandon the script and write their own. Some of you think you're strong, yeah. You think that holding on makes you stronger, that the tighter you grip, the harder you fight, the more power you gain. You tell yourself that if you just hold on long enough, if you just push through the pain, it'll all be worth it. No, that's the lie. That's the deception they sold you. Look at me. I've been where you are, holding on to people, holding on to dreams, holding on to a past that should have died a long time ago. What did I get for all that effort? Nothing. You see, the longer you hold on, the more you lose. It's like your finger slipping on a rope covered in blood. You keep thinking you're strong, but your strength, it's draining out of you. Every second you cling to the past, to that toxic relationship, to that failed dream. You lose a piece of your soul. You lose a piece of who you were. Feel it. The burn in your hands, the ache in your chest, the tremble in your grip. You think you're in control, but nah. It's controlling you. You're already losing. The blood that coats your hands, it's not from the grip. It's from what you're holding on to. You're bleeding inside and don't even know it. The longer you try to keep your fingers wrapped around something that's slipping away, the more it tears you apart. So, go ahead, keep holding on. But understand this, the cost won't just be your grip. It'll be your soul. You can lie to yourself. You can tell yourself you're strong. But the truth is darker than that. And soon, you'll be nothing but a shell of the person you used to be. You think you can handle it? Fine. Keep holding on. But I warned you, the price, it's not worth it. The game's already over. You just don't know it yet. What is it about us that makes us hold on for dear life? What is it about our deepest fears, our regrets, our toxic relationships that we cling to like it's our last breath? Think about it. Think about that job you hate, the one that eats at your soul, drags you down day after day. You keep going, don't you? Because it's comfortable, it's what you know, even though it's killing you slowly. Even though every morning you drag yourself out of bed, you wonder, why am I doing this? But you do it, because it's easier than facing the fear of what comes next. You stay in the prison and tell yourself it's safer than freedom. Yeah, you're trapped. But you don't even see the chains anymore. They've become a part of you. They've become normal. What about that toxic relationship? That person who loves to drag you down. You've been through hell with them over and over again, yet you go back time and time again. Why? Because you think you'll fix it. You think this time they'll change. You think if you love them enough, if you hold on long enough, everything will be okay. Nah, the truth is, you're not holding on to love. You're holding on to fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of being unloved. Fear of facing the cold, hard truth that you're enough without them. So you stay. You stay in the destruction, the slow, agonizing death of something that was never meant to survive. And what about addiction? Yeah, those things you thought you could control, the habits that seemed small at first, but now they're wrapped around your neck like a noose. You tell yourself, it's just one more time. But it's never just one more time. You're drowning in it, and yet somehow you still tell yourself that you'll stop tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes, does it? You hold on to it because it numbs the pain. It hides the fear. But the truth is, it's not the addiction that's controlling you. It's the fear of facing who you really are without it. So why do we hold on to destruction? It's easier than facing the void. It's easier than confronting the unknown. We'd rather stay in the hell we know than risk stepping into the fire of change. Look at yourself. Those chains wrapped around you aren't invisible. You feel them, you wear them, you've learned to accept them. But you're not free. You're not living. You're surviving. And there's a difference. Those chains, that fear, that regret, they're not your friends. They're your prison. You're not holding on to strength. You're holding on to fear. And that fear, it's robbing you of everything. But the real question is, when are you going to let go? When are you going to stop letting your own demons control you? Because trust me, if you don't make that choice, if you don't take that first step, you'll stay in the destruction. And when you finally realize it's too late, you'll be nothing but a shadow of the person you could have been. You know what's funny? People love to believe that holding on makes them strong. They think the tighter they grip, the more control they have, the more powerful they are. They love the idea of being unyielding, that they can take whatever the world throws at them. Nah, that's the joke, isn't it? Holding on, yeah, it looks like strength. But what if it's not? What if that grip, the one you think is giving you power, is actually draining you? What if all that resistance, all that energy is just killing you from the inside out? Take a good look. You think you're holding on to something strong, right? A dream, a person, an idea that you refuse to let go of. You think you're winning, but in reality, you're slowly fading. Your hands are turning pale. Your fingers are starting to break. You don't see it, but you're already falling apart. You're holding on to a lie. A lie that tells you if I just hold on tight enough, I'll make it. But all you're really doing is running yourself into the ground. The more you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. The harder you try, the weaker you become. Now let's talk about control. Control. That's what you think you have, isn't it? You think that by holding on, by refusing to let go, you're in control. You think the world revolves around you and your decisions, but the truth is, You don't control a damn thing. Nah, you're just a puppet. Look at me. I embrace the chaos, the uncontrollable, the unknown. It's not about holding on. It's about letting go. Letting the storm wash over you, letting the world break you, and then build you again, stronger. You see, strength isn't in holding on. It's in surviving when everything's falling apart. But you think you're the one holding the reins. The world's just waiting for you to let go. But you won't, will you? You'll keep holding on until your hands are nothing but bloodied, broken bones, desperately clinging to what's already slipping away. So here's the truth, my friend. Strength doesn't come from holding on. It comes from knowing when to let go. You want to be strong? Then drop it. Let it all crumble. Watch it fall apart. Because in the chaos, that's where the real power lies. And trust me, when you stop holding on, you'll realize that everything you thought you had, it was never yours to begin with. But hey, what do I know? You're too busy gripping onto your fantasy. Let's see how long that lasts. You think you're holding on to what matters, don't you? You think that if you just grip harder, if you just cling to it a little longer, it'll all pay off. Yeah, maybe you're holding on to a job that doesn't care about you, a person who never saw your worth, a dream that's already been shattered. But you tell yourself, it matters, it's worth the struggle. But here's the twist. What if you're not holding on to power at all? What if you're losing pieces of yourself, bit by bit, with every passing second you refuse to let go? It's like this. You think that little bit of comfort, that temporary satisfaction you get from holding on, is what you need. It feels good, doesn't it? Feels like something. But here's the dirty truth. While you're clutching that thing, you're slowly losing parts of yourself. Every moment you're stuck in the past, every second you refuse to face the pain, you're giving away pieces of your soul. Your energy, your time. The more you hold on, the emptier you become. You don't see it yet, but look closely. One hand's gripping that symbol of power. You think it's victory, but in the other hand, it's already shattered, empty. All the strength you thought you were gathering, it's disappearing. It's easy to fool yourself. It's easy to convince yourself that holding on is the right thing to do. You look at the small victories, the temporary comfort, and you say, it's enough. This is enough. But the truth? Nah. The truth is, while you're clinging to that fleeting comfort, you're walking straight into emptiness. Feel it yet? Feel how it's slipping through your fingers? The power you thought you had? It's fading, slowly, until there's nothing left but regret and a hollow ache in your chest. On one side you have that grip, tight, hard, desperate, thinking it's saving you. But on the other side, your hand's already broken. What are you holding on to? The question is, how much longer will you wait before the weight of what you're holding drags you into the abyss? Because you don't even realize it, you're already losing. You just don't see how far you've fallen. And when the emptiness finally sets in, it'll be too late to fix what's been broken. You think power lies in holding on, don't you? You think that by clenching tighter, refusing to let go, you're proving your strength. But what if the real power, the true strength, lies not in holding on, but in letting go? Yeah, you heard me right. Letting go, surrendering, giving up that illusion of control, and watching as the weight falls off. You think freedom comes from grasping tighter? Nah. Freedom comes when you finally decide enough is enough. Imagine this: the chains that bind you, the job that drains you, the toxic person who keeps playing with your heart. You're holding on, thinking that if you just hold a little longer, just a little longer, you'll be able to fix it. But the truth? You'll never fix it. You'll only keep breaking yourself. Here's the thing: breaking free isn't a weakness, it's power. When you stop clinging to what holds you back, when you throw off the chains of your past, the chains of your fear, you'll feel the freedom. Not just any freedom, but the freedom to become who you really are, to embrace the darkness, to let it fuel you, to finally step into your own power. You think letting go means you lose? Nah. Letting go means you win. You gain the power to walk away from things that drain you. You gain the strength to rise from the ashes and build something stronger than before. This isn't about defeat. This is about owning your life, your choices, your fate. Take a look at me. I know what it means to let go. I know what it means to leave behind the things that try to break me. The darkness, it's my ally. It's where I get my strength. And you can find that strength too, if you just stop fighting what's already dead. You want true power? Release those chains. Let them fall to the ground. Don't just survive. Become something new, something unstoppable. Letting go isn't a loss. It's the beginning of your rebirth. And when those chains hit the floor, you'll feel it. You'll feel the power that's been waiting inside you all along. It's dark. It's gritty. It's the kind of power that only those who dare to break free can understand. Let it go. Let it all go. Only then will you see the truth. The only thing holding you back was you. Letting go won't be easy. It never is. You think it's just about releasing something, right? Nah. The cost is high. The price you pay for freedom, it's steep. You're going to lose things. You're going to lose parts of yourself that you thought were essential. You'll feel like you're crumbling, like you're being ripped apart. But the truth, the reward, it's far greater than anything you lose. You're not going to come out unscathed. There's no such thing as painless change. When you let go, the world doesn't just fall into place. It shatters. It turns upside down. It breaks. You'll feel the chaos swirling around you, dragging you into the void. But in that chaos, in that destruction, lies your rebirth. You'll burn, you'll bleed, but if you survive the fire, you'll come out with something more. You want to grow? You want to evolve? Then prepare for the wreckage. Sometimes you'll have to lose pieces of yourself to rebuild into something stronger. It's the harsh truth. You can't become who you're meant to be without tearing down the parts of you that were never meant to last. Those old fears, those old beliefs, those old attachments, they're the weight that's been dragging you down. And the minute you start to let go, you'll feel it. You'll feel the sting of loss. You'll hear the screams, the cries, the sound of everything you thought you needed crashing to the ground. It's going to hurt. It's supposed to. But you need to feel that pain. You need to embrace it. Because that pain, it's your price of admission to the next stage of your life. Look at me. I know the aftermath of change. I've seen it, I've felt it. The world I thought I knew, it's all gone, shattered. But in that destruction, in that madness, I found myself. I found my true power. So yeah, you might think letting go means losing everything, but what you really lose is the old, broken version of you. The one who wasn't strong enough to face the chaos. You'll be scared, you'll doubt yourself, you'll wonder if it's worth it. And when the dust settles and everything you once knew lies in ruins, you might be tempted to go back. But trust me, once you've let go, once you've felt the power of the chaos, there's no turning back. So, will you survive it? Will you walk through the wreckage and rise again? Or will you stay stuck in the past, too afraid to pay the price of true transformation? Let go. Embrace the chaos. Feel the destruction. Because it's in that madness you'll find your true strength. And that strength, it's the only thing that will ever save you. The choice is yours. You're at a crossroads. The question is simple, yet brutal. Will you let go and reclaim your power, or will you continue to cling to what's breaking you? Take a moment. Look inside yourself. What are you holding on to? What's it costing you? The job that drains you? The toxic person who keeps taking pieces of your soul? The fear that keeps you stuck in the past? Nah, you don't have to keep holding on to that. But here's the kicker. You can't stay where you are. You can't keep pretending that holding on makes you strong. It doesn't. It never will. Every second you cling to something that's already destroying you, you're weakening yourself. You're losing power. You're losing time. You're losing yourself. Now think about it. What's it really costing you to hold on? Look at your life. Is it where you want to be? Or are you too busy clutching to something that's not even there anymore? But the real question is, are you brave enough to let go? Because this is the ultimate test. You can either stay stuck in your comfortable prison, or you can break free. You can feel the chaos, you can face the pain, and you can rise from it, stronger than ever before. The choice is yours. Take a good look at your life, because the truth is this. The real loss is in never trying to let go. The Joker knows this better than anyone. He's danced with chaos. He's stared into the abyss and laughed. He's embraced the destruction, and it's made him stronger. So, what about you? Are you ready to face your chaos? Are you ready to face the truth? Leave a like if you're done with the lies. Drop a comment. Tell me what you're ready to let go of. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Join the movement of those brave enough to face the storm, to break free, and to reclaim their power. Because the only thing that's really breaking you is your refusal to let go.